Hi.
We are.
Good, me too. I was really excited when I got here and saw all the caution signs and the danger signs and the tape and the barricades and the confusion in the lobby, and I didn't know where to go, and I was totally lost, and I was like, how did we co-create this?
You're very kind.
I went down this long road to get out here, and I was like, ooh, we're going to go to a nice place in Sedona, and I was like, so excited about it. But then I thought, okay, well, this is something coming from inside, right? All this stuff is just a reflection of what's going on. And I thought about...
It's an opportunity to acknowledge that all conditions don't have to be perfect in order to have what you call a perfect experience.
Right.
It's an opportunity to allow things that you can't control not to ruin your day. It's an opportunity to accept that, yes, you are rendezvousing. And yes, where you rendezvous and what you rendezvous with is a reflection of what's going on vibrationally. But really, isn't it something that you dominantly want to understand? Do you really want or need to control all of the circumstances around you in order to feel good, you see?
What I want is to be able to know that it's all the right thing at the right time.
Well, it always is. When Esther saw it, her first response, we can't speak out loud to you. And what her discord was first and foremost about was her concern about your experience. But we've been wanting to help her with that for a long time because we don't want Esther to take responsibility for your experience. She wants to provide the best environment that she can. And if you were coming to her property, she would make sure that everything was the way it should be before you would be invited there.
Right.
But this is not her property, and so she does not have that sort of control. But the thing that bothered her more, that was more at the heart of her verbal and emotional discord, was an acknowledgement that her vibration is right where she left it in this place.
Right, right.
Because she really didn't do any vibrational work about it. She did verbal work, make sure we don't end up down in that room. She did verbal work, reading the contract. In other words, she did the work that so many of you do, but it is always the vibrational work, you see. So what's the benefit of this? In other words, no one's having an unpleasant experience and no one will. In other words, it's not like that. It's not extreme. There's nothing unpleasant. It's just inconvenient.
I don't know. For me, it was more the expression of the mystery of exploring, going into what our desires are and what it unfolds, and that it's not just obvious in a great
Well, how many
lobby.
of you think that what deliberate creation is, and in light of the conversation that we've just had, your answer may be muted or it may have expanded or evolved just since you've been sitting in these chairs. But how many of you would say that you have predominantly been believing that the goal of deliberate creation is to eventually bring all conditions into perfection? What's the point of being a deliberate creator if you can't get what you want, right? But how do you feel about living in an environment of variety? So if you're at a buffet and there are choices, do you need all of the choices that you're not making to be removed from your experience by someone else? Or do you remove them from your experience by not putting them on your plate? So how do you remove unwanted from your experience? By not putting it on your plate, by not focusing upon it, by making the best of things, by not beating the drum of unwanted, by not taking something you know you don't like and putting it on your plate and then putting it in your mouth and complaining about it. In other words, by not exaggerating it, but by making lighter. You see, the way Esther will release things like this from her experience is by making lighter of them when they come, and by acknowledging that it really is not her job to create a perfect world for anyone else. But there's a fine line, isn't there? In other words, we understand the dilemma that you and Esther are feeling about this. I'm either a deliberate creator, I'm either able to create deliberately or not. So if Esther looks down her list of her life and her environments and the way her world is unfolding, she acknowledges that she is a very good deliberate creator. And in a situation like this, where the hotel lobby is under construction and the entry to the meeting room is a little bit of a winding pathway through some alleys, the predominant desire that is being born out of this for Esther is not so much controlling environments as it is feeling all right, being able to better control her emotional response. Because you see, you're all explorers. You are adventurers. Esther remembers nothing more fun ever than getting on one of those pink Jeeps and being driven down paths that are not trails and trails that are not roads, up the sides of rocks in the most ridiculous combinations of things. You don't want to take your seatbelt off if you're going to take that pink Jeep tour. It was scary and so fun.
Yeah.
The adventure of it was amazing. Going to places that she didn't expect to be. Crawling up rocks in a Jeep contraption. It was exhilarating, but was not without contrast, you see. And so what we're really saying to all of you is that you get to decide how much variety you are willing to explore in order to create the vortex that you want, and then how much you are willing to tune to what you've put there. We've noticed about all of you that you would rather experience negative emotion than no emotion, because there is at least momentum in negative emotion. You would rather experience negative emotion than boredom, for sure. You see. And what we want you to understand is that you can have it all, but you have to make peace with the contrast. This is what we want to say to you, and our friend helped us say it better than we've ever said it before. Nothing has gone wrong, no matter where you're standing. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. And when you stop trying to make something have gone wrong, which means you got to place the blame on that one or this one, and in either case, that just separates you from who you are. So if you could embrace today the very clear understanding that we hold, and it's a notion for many of you, if you could clearly embrace, completely embrace that nothing has gone wrong, but here you stand in better capability of finding clarity than you ever have before. Now you're going to be having adventure rather than discomfort everywhere you are.
Well, what I cherish about your teachings and your work is the support that you give to personal desires, and you've given me a lot of confidence to go after, dreams that I have in life, no matter how crazy they are, and they're leading me down some windy roads that I don't know the answers to them. And you were saying earlier, you ask the question, you get the answer, you ask the question, get the answer.
The winding road is where the fun is.
It really is.
The winding road is where the adventure is.
Yeah.
The winding road is where you pick up more clarity along the way. The winding road assures your eternalness.
So,
quite appropriate. It was quite a winding road into this room, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and yet it's kind of like what I'm going through in life right now, too. And trying
it's a metaphor for all of you.
And seeing that who I am when I get to what I want, I better like that person, right? Who's going to become.
But here's the thing. We love you so much. You're never going to get to where you think you're going. But you're going to be with you all the way along. And so that's why we say start liking that person right now.
So
nothing's gone wrong. You didn't make a mistake bringing your family over.
Where do these desires come from?
They are manifestations that come from, let's find new words for this. Where do the ideas come?
Yeah.
They are the manifestation that comes on the wings of your alignment.
Comes on the wings of my alignment.
And so
when I'm in alignment, that's when I'm knowing what my next step is.
Yeah, and then when you get
physical.
practical, you kill your dream. Because when you demand to know all of the details and all of the conditions that will eventually be filled in, then it's a little bit like the fun of putting a puzzle together. You don't usually want to buy them already assembled. Yeah. Oh, look what I got. 5,000 pieces. Fills up this whole big table. And the good part is we don't have to put it together. Everyone come round, and everyone just kind of comes and says, now what should we do? Yeah. Now what we should do? And nobody said that was fun.
Thank you so much for your work.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. We want to say to you something really significant. When you were thanking us for supporting you in your dreams.
Yeah.
They're our dreams too.
Thank you.
You see, we're really all in this together.
Yeah.
And so when an idea occurs to you, we're in on it too.
Mm-hmm.
But we never join you in the discordant part of it.
No, you don't, do you? Leave me all alone over there.
That's why it feels alone. We're not over there with you. If we'd go with you, you wouldn't feel alone. You'd feel on the path, you see. So it's your job to stay in that place of not beating up on yourself and not doubting and not fearing and not questioning the unknown, because the unknown is full of delicious, wonderful experience, you see.
When you're writing through Esther, and Esther is staying out of the way and just letting you come through, how does Esther do that and not get involved?
It's easy for her now because she understands the process. In other words, she just relaxes. Every time she stands at the podium in readiness, she always says, "It is my desire to speak clearly your words." And that's just her shorthand way of saying, I'm out of here and up to speed with that which you are, and ready to translate the vibrations that I'm receiving. So it's the same sort of thing. There's a more specific question. What is it? How does Esther do that?
Sometimes I'll be on a roll and I'll just feel it coming through, and then other times I'll be in my head and it'll be kind of stuck and stuttered.
Well, these are the things that Esther has discovered over time that will help you. If she feels stuck and stuttered, she gets up and does something else. She does not try to push through ever. If it's not flowing easily, then what does flow isn't pleasing later. So it's get on the high-flying disc and then is really what it is. And it's important to acknowledge that that is the reason that we were explaining the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 part of this process, is because step 1, which is the asking, and step 3, which is the allowing, are 2 different steps. But those like Esther and those like you have discovered step 4 and feel it in relationship to this question. So for years, Esther knew that if something was bothering her, that was not the time to try to receive book material. So she always did her work. She would take a walk or wake up from a nap or meditate, but she always made sure that she was in what she believed was a receiving place before she would sit to receive. It was evident to her right away because of the feeling and the flow, the feeling of it, the power of it, the clarity of it as it pours through her, you see. So for some time, we've been talking to all of you about just be aware that you have step 1 moments and you have step 3 moments, and don't try to make every moment a step 3 moments, because some step 1 moments, you understanding what we're talking about with that, it's good to have some experiences that cause you to ask for something, because you want to continue to add to the trajectory of the intention that you set into motion before you even came into this body. That's what those step 1 moments do. They continue to add to the trajectory of what you're asking for. But then we said, and you've been working at it, Esther certainly did over all of the years, to put the emphasis on step 3. It's why we began calling these gatherings the art of allowing rather than the science of deliberate creation, because it puts you more in the mindset of step 3 creating. Now, Esther is really enjoying that step 4 experiences she's having, where something's happened, she's really interested in it, and she can sit and receive dialogue about it. And you know what made the difference between her needing to be in the step 3 moment to receive, this is new material, and being in the step 4 moment? She made peace with her experience of contrast.
Yeah.
She stopped saying, I'm a bad girl because I'm experiencing contrast.
Yeah.
Now she's saying it's part of life. And the question is a big part of the answer.
Yeah.
And so wouldn't it be nice if the question and the answer could be active? Here we are.
Yeah.
Step 4, finally defined.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if the question and the answer could be happening together? That's that moving desire with you right there with it.
Isn't it like the contrast is almost the rudder of the ship more than the desire is the rudder of the ship?
Well stated. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah. You like his questions, don't you?
I mean, one of the other things I really love about your work is the idea that higher power, or whatever we call it, is expanding as we're expanding, and there's a symbiotic relationship
we're all in this
between
together.
this.
Yeah. It's not source already perfect and waiting for you to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's that we're all in this together. Yeah.
So where are we at now?
On our eternal path of joyous exploration, on our eternal path of joyous expansion. We're never going to get it done, and it's never going to stop being fun. Ever.
Got it. Thank you.
Really good. Really good.